All right, this is another Back to the Basics brief. Really don't plan on being too long. I know that, in the midst of this COVID-19, that nutrition has come up. A special shout out to all those content creators who have discussed how nutrition plays a role in building our immune system. Just as far as detoxing, I did want to focus on that. Again, there have been other channel holders like of the Information Man show, and also our Minister of Wellness, Reverend Nathaniel Jordan, who has been speaking about nutrition for quite some period of time now. And he hasn't been the only one. So I did want to talk about the importance of detoxing from sugar. So this picture that I got up here, it says stop eating crap. And that's talking about carbonated drinks, refined sugars, so not natural sugars, artificial food, and processed food. So let me remove that off of the screen. And then I'm going to transition over to this article. There's also two sources I put in the chat. One was the article that I'm going to be breaking down, and the other source actually comes from the University of California. Dr. Robert H. Lustig, who has been really going hard. He's been going hard in the paint, talking about, sugar being the problem, not fat, as far as in our diet when it comes to, different diseases. Let me see if I can share this screen. Okay. this is the screen I want to share. Okay, here's the article. And I'm going to move myself out of the way. There we go, so we can enlarge it. This article does talk about the difference between the natural and artificial sugars. This article, actually, it's quite recent, written on June the 3rd. Let me see. Let me scroll down just a little bit. How to cut out or detox from sugar. Coming from, let me see, WTOP News, which is actually, that news station is actually out. It's around the Washington, D.C. area. So how to cut out or detox from sugar. This is coming from WTOP News, around the Washington, D.C. area. So part of, I guess, some may say the sugar drive is that, you know, it's natural for us to crave sweet things. So here, right here, the highlighted part, humans have an innate desire and preference for sweet foods because they taste good and are associated with an easy source of energy, says Dina Champion, a registered dietitian at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center in Columbus, says. So first of all, I am not a licensed dietitian. Definitely consult with your medical care provider, or, you know, a licensed MD, preferably a dietitian or a nutritionist, particularly in this area, because I am not a licensed medical doctor. Although one of the sources does have a licensed medical doctor, who is Dr. Robert H. Lustig. He is a professor at the University State of California. Particularly a professor. I know he has worked with pediatrics for some time now, and he is a part of the division of endocrinology at that university, and that is why I included that link in the chat. It will also be in the description box, because, I mean, he is the subject matter expert when it comes to this. He's been really beating the pavement for a very long time when it comes to talking about the danger of sugar. Hey, DOD, what's going on? Nice of you to come by. I just wanted to talk about this sugar because, you know, when it comes to diseases, you know, diabetes and heart disease and diabetes are two of the most destructive conditions that we have going on, particularly in the Black community. And this was one of the reasons why I wanted to focus on detoxing from sugar. I'm going to take this banner off of here. There we go. And shout out to also all those who are over on Periscope. I don't want to forget about you guys. Thank you for watching and listening. So this again is coming from a dietitian, Dr. Dina Champion. She even says, you know, we have a desire to prefer sweet things because it's just easy energy. From birth, we're conditioned to prefer foods that provide the most calories in the easiest to burn format, also known as sugar. Okay, they talk about, you know, the mother's breast milk. We're going to keep moving down here. Our preference for sweets is also an evolutionary adaptation, she continues. When food is scarce, calories are important, and foods that are sweet tend to offer high amounts of carbohydrates and calories. This can in turn help humans lay down fat in survival. Of course, way back in civilization, you had, for anybody who has, took a history lesson, they talk about it's been, you know, we've heard about um, the hunter gatherers and like nomadic people who, again, food was scarce, so they followed their food supply. Um, Depending upon what part of history, I know right now, I know bison, that was, I do believe, a variant of a buffalo. And that was prevalent back in those ancient prehistoric time periods. But anyway, you had people moving around, living in the elements, pretty much um, following their food supply. And it wasn't just mammals, it was also plants as well. Plants, nuts, seeds, and animals. But let me keep going. But of course, that was back in the day. Now, of course, now we're in modern society now. So here we go. But in our modern society, where food tends to be plentiful, such clever evolutionary adaptations can backfire and lead to obesity and other problems associated with the weight gain that can come from consuming too many sugary foods. So before we go any further, let me see. Let me see how far down this goes. Let me go. Okay. Let me go through this page, and then we're going to talk about like the glycemic index and what that actually is, because I think that that's important. Oh, well, I'm glad. First of all, thank you for being here. Um, and everybody needs this information. I mean, because this, diabetes and heart disease, they're just terrible. They really are bad for all people, but particularly the Black community. Let me get back to the article. So I'm going to go through this page. So here we go. First, it's important to note that not all sugars are created equal. The naturally occurring sugars in which foods like fruits, some vegetables, and dairy products are generally a much healthier way of adding a little sweetness to your diet than processed or refined sugar. So for anybody out there who, may have a sweet tooth, what this is pretty much emphasizing is that naturally occurring sugars like fruits, and I'm talking about fruits like raw fruits, not fruits that are processed, that are in a can or that are packaged, like raw fruits that you would pick up, put in a bag, and weigh at the grocery store. That or honey, but you got to be careful with honey too. Those are natural occurring sugars. As far as dairy products, I will say um, be careful with that, because there is also sugar in milk. And again, for anybody who has watched like the What the Health documentary, and also Forks Over Knives. There we go. Forks Over Knives, I do believe, is still on Netflix. And again, that is coming from a medical perspective from Dr. T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Eckerson from the Cleveland Clinic. And these gentlemen have been around since, I do believe they were born in the 1930s. So they were around when the agrarian economy, or the, as far as farmers, were a lot more prevalent in our society than what they are now. But anyway, let's get back to talking about this sugar. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to the male requirement as well as the female requirement. So, as a spoiler, it has been said that men should get 9 teaspoons of sugar per day, and women should get 6 teaspoons of sugar per day. And I do believe that is according to the American Heart Association. That will definitely be emphasized as we go throughout this article. Definitely. Okay, refined sugars. Talking about, corn, or what a lot of people see, particularly with packaged food, is high fructose corn syrup, which is really, really bad. Also, there are really so many names for sugar till it's really a shame. But anyway, rice, sugarcane, or sugar beets that have been processed to extract their sugars. It can be brown, white, or syrupy. It's used to sweeten baked goods, your morning coffee, cereal, and any number of packaged foods. Even foods that don't taste overly sweet, such as tomato sauce, bread, or salad dressings, often contain whopping doses of refined sugar. I'm going to read my side note here. Also, yogurt. You got to be careful. I know with people, for those who are, watching their diet, one has to be careful about the sugar that's in yogurt, really everything. And of course, I understand that all we have to go on is a label. And of course, and I understand people who would push back and say, well, you know what, we can't even trust the label. That is true. But even though we may or may not have confidence in that label, it's still giving us information. And labels should not be ignored. And that's just my opinion. I know I use the word should is judgmental, but I believe that even though the label may or may not be fraudulent, it still should be read. Getting into honey and maple syrup now. They also come from natural sources, but are made of almost entirely sugar. So this is where, again, honey, you got to be careful with that. Though they may be considered healthier than refined sugar because they're natural and contain antioxidants. So antioxidants, that means anti-aging. So oxidation is the process of aging. Minerals, and have antimicrobial effects. They are still made up of sugars. And as such, when added to your diet, they should be considered added sugars. This is where you got to be careful. Let me keep going. Let me see here. Just want to check back in. Oh, here we come. This beach is better. What's going on? And Zero the Infinite. Yeah, you you and these squirrel emojis. Well, thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Now, getting back to here we go. We're getting to that information that DOD, you had asked a question about this earlier. that statistic right there, where some 70% of the population is either overweight or obese in America, it wouldn't surprise me. It's just, it would have been nice if like a source to that particular number would have been included in the article. Okay, for many people, it's because we're eating too many added sugars every day. Here we go. I was right. The American Heart Association reports that adults consume 77 grams of sugar per day on average. And sugar adds up. I mean, if you throw in a few energy drinks, bread, a sandwich, a sandwich like oatmeal, whatever, coffee, whatever it is, sugar adds up. Condiments, even like things like condiments have sugar, like ketchup, mustard, mayo, all that stuff. More than 3 times what's recommended. Over the course of a year, that's 60 pounds of added sugar annually. That is yikes. This is according to the American Heart Association. The American Heart Association recommends the following daily limits to added sugars in the diet. Here we go. Men should consume 9 teaspoons or less of added sugar per day. And then women should consume 6 teaspoons or less of added sugar per day. And this is according to the American Heart Association. All right. Just make sure you guys check out each other's channels. If you're not already subscribed. And then here you go. If you've ever tried to remove sugars from your diet and found it very difficult to do so, again, you're not alone. It's part of your biology, says Allison Roach, here we go, another registered dietitian with Covenant Health in Lubbock, Texas. I'm going to go a little bit further. I see we're on page 3. Here we go. The addictive quality of sugar. I'm going to put something on the screen after I read the yellow part. There are neurochemical changes in the brain that occur when we consume too much sugar that are similar to what's seen with addictions to drug or alcohol. Excessive sugar consumption has been linked with a range of chronic health issues. Here we go. Diabetes, heart disease, even cancer. This is where it gets very serious. I do believe those are like the 3 leading causes of death, like across the board. But particularly for our people, it's bad news. So look what it's talking about, the neurochemical changes in the brain. Here we go. The brand. This, what I'm going to put up, is sort of already self-explanatory. See, this right here, it's sugar that raises your cholesterol and gives you heart disease, not fat. This is where that element of, here we go with like heart disease and all that. This is how sugar is linked with heart disease. It raises cholesterol. And cholesterol, after it gets to a certain point, what happens? The arteries get clogged, and then this is where we get freaking double and triple bypass surgeries. We have our people getting like a stent put in their heart. Here we go. Sugar raises the cholesterol, and then once those arteries get clogged, I mean, you're looking at a person maybe looking at coronary artery disease. It's just like heart attack. Anytime where there are arteries that are clogged, it's bad news. Now, talking about those neurochemical like the neurochemicals that are in the brain. Here we go. This is this lethal thing that occurs. And dopamine is one of those for anybody, I'm not a scientist or anything. This video is for educational purposes only. I am not a licensed medical professional. I am not a medical doctor. I am not a licensed dietitian or nutritionist. My sources are actually in the chat, and they are also in the description box. But this is just, again, to help educate us on how it affects the body. So here we go. Look at that. You eat sugar, boom, insulin spikes. Liver turns sugar to fat. Here, bad, terrible. As liver releases sugar into the bloodstream, the blood pressure rises. Hypertension. Similar to heroin, dopamine, again, one of those neurotransmitters in the brain, levels in the brain surge. And then, you get those, oh, this tastes really good, and then high insulin causes glucose levels to plummet. Your body gets tired and asks for more sugar. So you do all that. We're eating all this sweet stuff, and then we wonder why. Still hungry. I still want more sugar. It's because this is the biology. This is what it does to us. Like this right here shows you sort of like the flow chart. It's showing us an algorithm of really what's going on. This is dangerous. And remember that, again, sugar does what? It raises the cholesterol, as we've seen here. So here we go. High cholesterol, that means heart disease, possible, clogging of the arteries, heart attack. And like I said, anytime arteries are clogged, it's bad for the body. That means stuff is not passing, and that means it's just bad. It's bad for us. But looking at here, blood pressure rises. Again, now we're looking at hypertension. And any type of blockage, like particularly in the brain, now we're looking at what? A possible stroke. So this is where all these conditions can sort of really, really, really snowball, and it can get really bad for us because the pancreas secretes, insulin in order to what? Help regulate what? Sugar. Okay. And this right here is this terrible, lethal mortality flow chart that we got going on here. We got the pancreas. We got, first of all, the liver, which is one of our filtering system. Thank God for our liver and our kidneys. That's turning sugar into fat. So now we're looking at weight gain. We're looking at stored fat. Then the liver releases, sugar into the bloodstream. Now our blood pressure rises. We do get the feel good feelings because of the dopamine increases in our brain. And then after the insulin does what it does to regulate our sugar, then we get that tired, sluggish feeling, right? Exactly. That tired, sluggish feeling. And guess what? We're still hungry. This is bad. Just saying, this is not good for us. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the glycemic index while we're at it. So the glycemic index, we talked about insulin spiking, but it matters because it really is measuring like how fast, It's a system that measures like how fast sugar spikes, and that's talking about the sugar that's in the carbs. And there's also even a let me see if I can bring this up too. So here we go. So if something is low on the glycemic index, that's good, because over time that is, that sugar is breaking down, which means what? Our blood pressure isn't rising as much, and we can burn off that sugar or that energy over a longer period of time. So anything that is under 55 on the glycemic index is good. Look at all the vegetables and fruits that are under 55, with the exception of mango and pineapple and watermelon. I understand watermelon, ain't got a problem with it. It has a lot of water in it, but the thing is, we got to watch out for sugar, which puts it on the high category. It's at 72. No, hey, it is what it is. Just we have to be conscious and aware of where things fall at on this glycemic index. Let me see, dairy. Okay, look at ice cream. Ice cream is in that moderate category, medium. And then when you look at, let me see, here we go. Black-eyed beans, yep, 59. So it's in that moderate, but this right here is just a good chart here, or just at least a basic chart to start out with, so that a person knows like where certain foods fall. Look at taco shells. Oh man. And look at white bread. Look at bread. Like bread is like literally at 100. So it is like in that really, really high category. Even oatmeal, baked potatoes, whole wheat bread. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, my prayers go out to you, because a root canal, it's not like a filling or anything like that. A filling, a cavity. Yeah. My prayers go out to you. I pray for a speedy recovery. Yeah, just take it easy. Yeah, I heard about root canals. Root canals can get nasty, get very, very ugly. Okay. But again, this right here is to just give us sort of an idea of where certain foods fall at, because again, remember the higher sugar spikes, then again our pancreas is working overtime just to push our sugar levels back down, and this is where boom, diabetes. It's just one of them things. This terrible flow chart. This is what happens to us. Yep. Oh, you're taking notes for the other squirrels? Hey, it's all good. Like I said, the other links are up in the chat, and they will also be the two references, well, the two resources, the sources that I have, there will also be in the description box, because our health matters. Our health, if you don't have your health, it's just it's no good. No bueno. Par mal, however you want to say it, it's just not good. Let me take this off of here. I'm going to get back to the article. I did go on a little rant. Let me keep going down. Let's talk about these sugar cravings. Okay. Sugar cravings are a problem many people grapple with, and Champion says, she's a dietitian that was mentioned earlier in the article. They're different from hunger. They can develop for a number of reasons, not least of which is deprivation. So again, that word deprivation, a lot of people, I'm going to go here, they go on these diets and they restrict calories way too much. And the problem is their mindset. They focus so much on elimination. Why I need to eliminate this, I need to eliminate that, I need to eliminate. That's not the proper mindset, because what's going to happen is, and this is what usually has happened, and I've done the same thing in the past, you eliminate way too much, and then yeah, you'll lose. But then when you go back to eating what you used to have, the way you used to eat, a person could potentially gain back all that weight and more than and be and weigh more than what they started. And then this is where people usually at that point get frustrated. But that's the thing, deprivation is bad. Instead of eliminating, you need to swap. We'll talk about swapping here as we go further down into the article. Here we go. People who completely eliminate added sugar may eventually develop a strong craving for it, which can lead to binge eating. So, and then that opens the door to what? That opens the door to potential eating disorders. This is bad. This is not good. Other reasons for cravings may be emotional. Emotional eating it's common. Someone who is anxious or depressed. Okay, so here we go. We have now a mental health element. Someone who is anxious or depressed may crave sweet foods due to the pleasure they derive out of eating them. So again, dopamine increases, and that sort of, we get those feel good. We get those feel good feelings where it's like, oh yeah, and you know what? We even have a term for that. We call it comfort food. So here we go. Let me keep going. Let me see. Cravings are completely normal and human. This is Dr. Champion. She, again, the licensed dietitian that was mentioned earlier in this article. And consuming a sweet treat can provide a sort of self-soothing. Sometimes it's difficult to know why we crave sweet foods, but some people seem to have a stronger genetic predisposition to it than others. So again, everybody is different. Some people, for example, like really Zero the Infinite. So like for example, like usually when one goes and sees their doctor, family history is one of those questions that come up, like, hey, has anyone in your immediate family, like your mom or your father or your mother, ever been diagnosed with diabetes, cancer, high cholesterol, hypertension, anything chronic like that, like asthma, MS, sickle cell trait. They usually go down the line, liver disease, cancer disease, MS, they mental health, bipolar disorder, certain things like that, schizophrenia, anything like that, like chronic depression. Because telling you, the body, people think that the body is some, I don't know, compartmentalized system, but really all of our organs and systems are interdependent on each other. Let me get back going here. We talked about genetic disposition. talked about, family history. Knowing our family history is important, particularly when it comes to past medical history, immediate family, and also what conditions run in the family. That is really important for these for our licensed medical professionals to know this. And then, of course, here, some people, have a preference for salty, savory snacks. This is focusing on sugar, not sodium. So we're going to move past that. Here we go. We're talking about Dr. Champion again. Says there's evidence that the more sugar one eats, the more they crave it. When someone eats refined sugar, there are actually changes that occur in the reward center of the brain, similar to changes that occur when someone uses drugs like cocaine or morphine. Wow. They just went all the way into cocaine and morphine. Here we go. This causes an intense craving and a desire to consume more sugar. And again, this is where people, many times may often become, food addicts. Like they develop a strong food addiction for just sugar. And it really is bad. I mean, and I know there are multiple studies that are out there where, like, there's plenty of medical documentation that backs up, this statement, because there are certain centers in the brain that light up that they say that is similar to someone using drugs. So, as far as with consuming sugar. Here we go. So now that we talked about, we done talked about how bad sugar is, and sugar is bad. I mean, sodium, that may be for another topic. But right now we're going to focus on sugar. So now that we have identified the problem, well, how do we resolve it? So to help us remove excess sugar from our diets, yeah, here we go. Got to prepare for some strange sensations. Or that's, possible because, there are such things as, caffeine withdrawal, certain things like that, because of the complex changes that can transpire in the brain. Talking about the neurotransmitters, particularly dopamine. And again, that neurotransmitter, that and serotonin, that's why you saw anxiety and depression on the previous page. Those neurotransmitters, like if they are not balanced, then it's just not good. If they're not balanced, it's just like potassium. If that is not balanced, then it's just bad. It's just bad juju. It's no good. So because of the complex changes that can transpire in the brain when you've been consuming too much sugar, getting off the sugar roller coaster and breaking the cycle of cravings and consumption can be challenging, but it may be worthwhile. It is. Roach says, this is another dietitian, it can be uncomfortable initially. You may develop a headache or other uncomfortable side effects from reducing your intake of added sugars, but such sensations usually subside in about 3 to 5 days. So it's going to be uncomfortable for a few days. And then here we go. You just got to love this next point. Stick with it. If you stick with it long term, you'll eventually stop craving sugary foods. Roach says if you truly eliminate sugary foods such as candy, soft drinks, cakes, sugary cereals, and so on, you'll stop craving them. Your taste buds change over time. Here we go. That's the key. Over time. it takes time to reduce sugar consumption. If you're eliminating sugar over a period of time, there we go. The only thing you're missing out on is excessive calories. And some people in the medical community, they call it empty calories, particularly speaking of like soda, chips, different things like that. It's not giving our bodies any nutrients, hardly any at all. I mean, it's just not good for us. But again, things change over time. I already emphasized that sugar doesn't provide any nutrients. And here is where it begins, the mind. Change our thinking. Now, remember what I said earlier about people, as far as the word deprivation, people deprive themselves so much. They get so focused on, oh my gosh, I need to lose weight. I have to start a diet, and they eliminate. And then, like I said before, then once they go back to eating what they normally would, then they end up gaining the same weight, if not more, and end up weighing more than what they actually started before they even began the diet. It's that yo-yo effect, it's bad. And here we go. Caution that thinking of this process as a detox isn't quite right and could be counterproductive. And for some people, it just really is. I would never use the term detox from sugar. Well, eliminate, reduce sugar, I guess, would be more of a better phrase. That's a catchphrase that isn't meaningful. Our bodies have a liver and kidneys that I mentioned before that are well equipped at detoxing our bodies, and they are. But if they too are like having an enlarged liver, or the kidneys are not functioning, and one of the things that we can use to find out if our kidneys are functioning is urine output. And that's going into something, but definitely check out, if a person isn't, urinating, then that right there should tell you, okay, something is going on with the kidneys. There's something going on with the filtering system. If, okay, keep putting, water or whatever it is in there. It could be fruit juice, lemonade, and this person isn't eliminating. That right there should tell you something's going on with the kidneys, and that is bad. Kidney failure, like renal failure, anything that happens with the kidneys and liver is bad. Instead of thinking about detoxing, thank you for sharing the video. I really do appreciate it. Instead of thinking about detoxing or breaking cravings, it may be more effective to tune into your cravings. So here we go. Assessing your cravings. Thank you so much. All right. The Underrated Darkness. Good afternoon. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to you. Nicki C, what's going on? How are you guys doing? I'm so glad that you're here. I'm on page 4. I'm going to be done with this here not too long. I just really thought it was important to show, how sugar, affects our bodies. So assessing our cravings. Instead of simply depriving, yourself of sugar to detox, which can actually set you up for a binge later, stop and consider why you're craving something sweet in the first place. So some people I know keep like food diaries. And again, here we go. Here's some good questions right here. Are you feeling anxious, depressed, or overwhelmed? Are you constantly dieting or restricting sweet foods? The answer to those questions could help you identify the underlying trigger. And that's the whole point of assessing our cravings, is to find out what it is that is triggering us to eat sweets. Sometimes it's emotional eating. Sometimes people, they overeat out of boredom. Some people have what's called a oral fixation. That's why it's like, it could be the reason why some people smoke, or some people just, again, oral fixation. They want to have something in their mouth. For me, I know one of my actually there's a few triggers that I definitely stay away from. Even when I fall off the wagon, I stay away from soda. That is a very, very bad trigger for me. I stay away from cookies and cream. Oreos, anything cookies and cream is a bad trigger. So you're not going to see me with a soda. You're not going to see me with a package of Oreos. Not going to happen, because I know that right there will open the door for me to I can't go back to that. That's what I'll say about that. But identifying triggers are important. Now that I know what my triggers are, I stay away from them. It's like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to practice self-care and I'm going to be fine. Let me keep going. Here we go. Build alternative coping mechanisms. Great. I mentioned self-care right at the perfect moment. So once we have determined the underlying trigger for cravings, got to relieve stress. Emotional eating. Okay, time for us to use what tools work for us to just chill out and relax. Exercise is so underrated. Exercise. That right there really does a number with anxiety and depression, because what's happening to the body as we exercises? Well, it secretes endorphins, which also makes us feel good. Yoga, very nice, relaxing. What's nice about yoga, like, there is a focus on breathing. You slow down the breathing, very stress relieving. Or meditation. And I would say, and meditation. Yeah, do it all. And of course, let's work on our meal planning. Got to work on meal planning, or meal prepping, as some may call it. And there are a lot of apps. I know one app that I used that really helped me lose weight was actually, what was it? It was MyFitnessPal. And MyFitnessPal is a good app that can be downloaded on iOS or the Google Play Store. Also, as well as Lose It. And there are various other apps, but I know whenever I went through my initial weight loss, I definitely used, the MyFitnessPal app to track everything that I ate. And it included liquids too. I would put down, hey, I drank X amount of ounces of water per day. So the unwritten rule is, so let's say I weigh $170, right? So if I'm $170, I should be drinking about half of my body weight in ounces. So if I weigh $170, I should be drinking about 85 ounces of water per day. Now, mind you, that's the minimum. If I exercise and do other things, I should be getting a little bit more. So, hey, Tom Malone, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Thank you all for coming. I really wanted to talk about, again, the sugar. Because I feel this is important for our people. Since now that I got a little bit more, I'm just going to back up just a little bit. The article article really is getting into how we can, do better with our sugar craving. But sugar affects, chemicals in our brain. So let me do this. Let me put this back up on the screen. Well, thank you for being here. I thank you for being here and for listening. So I'm going to put back up a banner. I'm going to continue to go through the article. We are on page 4. So this is the vicious cycle. And here again, this is the first photo I had up. Stop eating crap as far as carbonated drinks. I got it. Some of us actually live on Monster and, Bang and, Vamp and Amp and Red Bull, but that is not good for us. Refined sugars, that high fructose corn syrup, that is bad. Artificial food, processed food. We're not even going to get into fast food because that's that's processed food. So we need to stop eating crap. We need to reduce and substitute that for other things. Let me keep going here. I'm going to show you the vicious cycle of sugar. And here it is. Because this right here is the most important thing. I am going to bring my guest in here shortly. The underrated darkness. What sugar does to the body. This right here is the devil. You hear me? This is what is harming our people. As far as from a health aspect. So look at this circle of just disease. You see this right here? This is terrible. So what sugar does to our body? Because listen, I my diet is not 100%. I'm getting there. I'm just about done with meat. But this chicken, I tell you, that chicken, man. But anyway, this is what happens to our body when we eat sugar. So we eat sugar, right? So insulin spikes. So bam, the liver turns sugar to fat. So here we go. We got stored fat. As the liver releases sugar into the bloodstream, look what happens. Our blood pressure rises. So now, boom, hypertension. So here we have the liver turns the sugar to fat. So now we got obesity. Then we have, once sugar enters the bloodstream, our blood pressure rises. Terrible. So now we got hypertension. Similar to heroin, dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter in the brain, levels in the brain. See. So yes, so our dopamine levels surge. So, and that makes us feel good. This is why you see the smiley face. And high insulin, which again, insulin is secreted from our pancreas, causes glucose levels to plummet. Your body gets tired. So, after we eat, whatever that sugary food item is, then we get sluggish, we get tired, and we want more sugar afterwards. So, boom, we crave more sugar after all that. All right, the underrated darkness. Welcome. You have anything to add to the presentation here?
Well, I got here a little late because before I need charged up, but it's excellent information we need to take, and especially I cook and everything, so I had to be more conscious. But I would say this though too, that maybe it had nothing to do with what you're talking about, but I'm gonna try to make connections as I can. There are certain parts of our community do not have the luxury to have good foods, and so say some of us had to eat while it's there. But I would say this, that to learn to read labels, learn to read labels, and the ones that y'all know they have family members that live in certain neighborhoods that would not promote, and I'm talking about the manufacturers now. Make sure that you ask to have um healthier foods. Right to the politician. Go to the politician, or anybody that you know in your family that deals with agriculture and the manufacturers and stuff, because this is bigger and stuff like that. So, but what you're doing is absolutely correct, absolutely right. But I would have to say is that we had to be more conscious, the ones that certain parts of our community, especially in this country, that they don't have the luxury to have bring good foods, and then sometimes they don't have nobody to really fight for them and stuff like that. And so, but this is excellent information. I just need to put that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just want to say, just thanks for Zero the Infinite for taking notes. Again, the sources are actually in the chat. They're probably up further. They're probably beyond what you guys can see, but the sources will be in the description box. Because again, I think that it's important for us to realize, uh, like whenever we eat, digestion is very important. um, what we eat and how we eat matters, and what much of what we eat matters as well. But it's important for us to know, like, okay, once we eat something, like what is actually going on with our body, like, and this right here shows us what's going on. Just want to thank the Underrated Darkness for being up here. I'm gonna let me see here. Gonna also put up the foods here. So this is the glycemic index, which sort of it measures like how high sugar actually spikes in our body, and it's usually within 2 hours of us eating. So as you can see here, anything that is like 55 and below, which is where, again, looking at our vegetable column, that's just about everything. Now with fruits, we see we get into the moderate, the medium category with pineapple and with mango. And then we get to the high category with watermelon, ice cream, dairy, that's in the moderate category. And let me see. Look at bread, like white bread, bagels. That makes the sugar spike. Breads and sweet potatoes, again, moderate. But then if you looked at what is it, the baked potato, see? So the baked potato is 85. That's considered high. So again, a person might want to consider swapping the baked potato for the what? Sweet potato, going from high to medium on the glycemic index. But I also want to say for the underrated one, that it is true that people do live in what uh, medical professionals call food deserts. And we do need to look out for them as well. Let me get back to the article just to do a quick check on learning, I guess. Prepare for, strange sensations. Once an individual chooses to reduce sugar, again, this is coming from Dr. Roach, which says it can be uncomfortable initially. So having symptoms of discomfort for 3 to 5 days is normal. You may develop a headache or other uncomfortable side effects from reducing your intake of added sugars, but such sensations usually subside in about 3 to 5 days. The main thing is consistency, consistency, consistency. Stick with it. Roach says, this is again a licensed dietitian. If you truly eliminate or really reduce sugary foods such as candy, soft drinks, cakes, sugary cereals, and so on, you'll stop craving them. And here's the key thing. Your taste buds change over time. There is a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's doable. And again, if you're eliminating sugar over a period of time, the only thing you're missing out on is excessive calories or empty calories, as some people say. Sugar doesn't provide any nutrients. We have to change our mindset, change our thinking. Because again, like I said, for people detox, the first thing that usually they think about is eliminate. They don't think about substitution. They think about, okay, they don't think about swapping the white potato with the sweet potato. They just eliminate. And that becomes a problem, because when they start eating again, they end up yo-yo dieting, meaning they end up gaining more. They end up gaining the weight that they lost back plus more. Assess your cravings. Figure out why we are craving these sweet things. So pretty much identify our underlying triggers, whether if it's emotional eating, whatever it may be, eating out of boredom. So a person may need to, again, look at their schedule and plan activities. Here we go, exercise, yoga, or meditation. Now, after we have identified the trigger, need to use stress release tactics, or what I call practicing self-care, exercise, yoga, or meditation. And of course, work on meal planning or meal prepping, so that if a person already has something on them, then there's no need to go through, the fast food, drive through or whatever else, or even look at anything that's in the vending machine. Build a plan. Here we go. Both Roach and Champion, again, these two individuals are licensed dietitians, says creating a plan to taper off or reduce using sugar rather than simply stopping all at once will be more effective and sustainable. Key word. The two key words here, effective and sustainable. The hardest phase of weight loss is maintenance. It's after the weight loss. Maintenance is the hardest phase of weight loss. Just like recovery. If somebody is recovering from something, recovery can be difficult. It can be. This is why maintenance is important. Keyword there, effective. The keywords from that, effective and sustainable. A lot of some people, they get so focused on detoxing and elimination, they don't substitute and they don't incorporate self-care. And self-care, I got it. Exercise, yoga, meditation. But for some people, journaling. Like, for example, if someone is suffering from anxiety or depression, journaling, art therapy, music therapy, even like going out on a hike and just being outdoors in nature, like practicing mindfulness. These are all tools that we can use to practice self-care, to keep us balanced. Here we go. I don't recommend going cold turkey, Roach says. The best approach is small steps. And that goes into making goals. Here we go. She recommends eliminating one sweet food each week. For instance, if you always have dessert after dinner Friday night, eliminate that. Find healthy swaps. Here we go. Swaps, substitution, not elimination, substitution. If you drink a sugary soda every day with your lunch, replace that with water or a sugar-free tea or, herbal tea. And then the next week, eliminate an additional source of added sugar in your diet. Over time, that can add up to a lot of sugar you're no longer consuming on a regular basis. So again, it's not about elimination. It's about sustainability and being effective. It's about making that lifestyle change. Let me keep going. We're almost there. Here we go. Go easy on yourself. Eliminating sugar is a process. And as with most things in nutrition, finding the middle ground is best. And I've stressed this and I emphasize this, a lot. But instead of focusing on relentlessly eliminating all added sugars, Champion recommends focusing on moderation and eating a healthy diet that includes lots of nutritionally dense foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. To avoid setting up a worse mental health issue or a potential eating disorder, which again I spoke of briefly earlier in this broadcast. Champion urges you to be kind to yourself and realize it's okay to eat a cookie once in a while. So, for example, like for me, and again, this is just a way because everybody is different. For some people, every day they may have that one thing that they want, and it may be a cookie, it may be, whatever that is for them. They may need a daily reward to keep them on track to whatever weight loss goal or whatever goal that they want to achieve as far as where they want their sugar levels to be, or even where they want their blood pressure to be, or their as far as the other thing. Everybody has different goals. The main thing is to make smart goals. Now, for me, I couldn't do a daily reward because I would fall off the wagon. I'd feel bad about it. And it's like, I couldn't operate like that. So my reward was once a week. So I would pick one day where I would have my reward meal or reward day. So I would be good for 6 days. So like, for example, I would be good. Let's say I would be good Sunday through Friday, and then Saturday was my reward day. Then on Saturday, for my reward day or my reward meal, I would eat approximately 1,000 calories more than what I usually would. And I know what you're probably thinking, well, why would you do that? Well, at the time, I was learning about carb cycling. And again, that's one of the tools I use. Some people use intermittent fasting. Some people use the keto diet, paleo diet, Atkins diet. There's many different diets out there. But I know for me personally, I would be good for those 6 days. I would eat between 1,200 and 1,500 calories per day. Of course, I was exercising 5 to 6 days a week, and at times twice a day. Shout out to Chris Powell for writing his book, Choose More, Lose More. That book is an older book. I do believe he published that in 2013. And what I love about his book is that he has a chart that makes he has a chart that shows like carb cycling. He showed the classic carb cycle, the what is it, the fit carb cycle, and also the like if somebody really wants to cut weight real fast, it was usually what was it, low low high, and then boom, your reward meal. So 2 low carb days followed by a high carb day, 2 low carb days followed by a high carb day, and then your reward day or reward meal. So that was one of the sources I used whenever I was going through my weight loss. I said, nope, you gotta, first of all, you need to change your diet. I had to get away from a lot of stuff. And then after I reduced my diet, and it took me about 4 to 6 weeks to get it under control, then I said, okay, time to start moving, time to start exercising, and just a variety of things. Let me see. But again, what worked for me may or may not work for somebody else. So that's the thing. I would say definitely talk to a licensed dietitian or nutritionist. Okay, understand sugar isn't always bad. And then again, realistic, making those smart goals. It may be wise to think about realistic ways to cut back on these instead of completely eliminating them. And here we go. This is Champion talking again, the dietitian that was mentioned earlier. Here we are. We're on page 6. If someone is running a marathon, if someone is running a marathon, they need quick energy, and sugars such as can be found in honey, candy, cookies can provide this. But that's 26.2 miles. I don't know if I want to be running on a cookie, but anyway, the point that she's trying to make is you're going to need high calories because again, it's, running a marathon, and with the body being in motion for X amount of, minutes, the body just needs that. And the body's going to be, you're going to be sweating, losing electrolytes. You gotta pretty much carb load definitely for a marathon. Just saying. Here we go. We done emphasized talk to a dietitian. Do that. I am not a licensed medical professional. I am not. But definitely talk. And anytime, a person is really thinking about changing their diet, they should let their doctor know about it. But definitely talk to a dietitian. I mean, talk to a specialist about it. Dietitian, nutritionist. And again, like I said, what works for me may not work for somebody else because there are a lot of variables. So a lot of variability of what it means to cut back on sugar, and it's going to depend on you, your normal diet, what you're hoping to achieve as far as goals, and how you can best reach those nutritional goals. Also, it's going to depend upon not just your diet, but also your resting metabolic rate, your RMR, your resting metabolic rate, which is how many calories does a person burn at rest. So for example, I burn about 1,600 calories at rest. So depending upon my diet, what I'm eating, my activity level, and of course, what goals, smart goals, got to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. There has to be a specific time. For optimal health, Champion recommends a plant-heavy diet with sugar in small or moderate amounts. And again, this young lady is a licensed dietitian. With that being said, I'm just about done. I am going to go back through the article and highlight one last thing. And it was what DOD had asked about. So the daily recommendations. Shout out to the American Heart Association. So let me keep going up. Here we go. The American Heart Association. AHA recommends the following daily limits to added sugars in the diet. Men should consume 9 teaspoons or less of added sugar per day, and women should consume 6 teaspoons or less of added sugar per day. And again, this is coming from the American Heart Association. And with that being said, thank you so much for hanging in there. Again, this article was from WTOP News, which is located in the Washington, D.C. area. All right. So with that being said, the Most High be with you to lead, guide, and direct your footsteps. I love you as a sister. Again, I'm not a licensed, medical professional. This video is for educational purposes only. I just felt led to do this video because, again, with the COVID-19 and everything going on, I think that, it was important for things. It's just important for us to not only look at, what we should be putting into our bodies, but also what we should be reducing. I pray that you all are having a fantastic Friday. And with that being said, I'm gonna play some music and show a few things. A special thanks to all those who did, watched or listened. Special thanks to those who will share this video, and all those who watch from Periscope. I do appreciate it. A special shout out to the Information Man show. He did do a show talking about as far as nutrition, and he did that. There were certain areas that he spoke about with vitamin A, B, C, D, and E, and different aspects of what we should be eating in order to boost our immune system. So I need to actually add his link to the description box, and I will also be releasing, our Minister of Wellness, Nathaniel Jordan. He also did a very strong presentation in April about nutrition. I mean, he's been he's been speaking all over the country about how we need to get, our diet together. But thank you all again for being here. And just, oh, natural. Hey, babe, what's going on? hey, if you need to, natural, you can definitely drop your link. You can drop it in the chat at this time, or you can definitely drop it in the comment section, because this platform, at least my platform, I can't say for anybody else's, but I am definitely into supporting Black businesses. Peace to you all. I love you as a sister. I pray, that you just stay safe out there and be blessed.